I'm an American citizen. I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do.
No human is made to be a 24-hour parent, so shout out to all the parents out there.
And the world will be as one.
I left that yogurt store and didn't get the yogurt that I wanted. And then I had a hard time the rest of the weekend.
Something mean to say about you.
I just wanted to make a video to apologize again for the whole donut fiasco and craziness.
And I just kind of massage it all the way into my neck and down here. Whoop!
Hey guys, this is me! This is actually who I am, but after 11 shots of something.
Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
An interview between Justin Bieber and Diddy has recently resurfaced, and it's taking the internet by storm. Diddy wanted the younger star to keep quiet about whatever was happening at their hangouts, and after all the recent allegations against Diddy Combs, people are voicing their concerns. Popular music artist Sean Diddy Combs, responsible for songs like I'll Be Missing You and I Need a Girl, was recently arrested, and new details about the serious situation are coming out daily. It started with the November 2023 lawsuit from one of his ex-partners, and it continued with multiple other individuals coming forward to share their stories of Diddy's misconduct, and the latest development is a 2011 Jimmy Kimmel live interview resurfacing. Kimmel is interviewing Combs and a young Justin Bieber. At this point in time, Bieber was quite close to Combs, it seems, good friends. Combs even referred to Bieber as a little brother throughout the interview. Still, the age difference between the two is staggering, about 24 years. So of course, Kimmel questioned how this duo even came to be, asking if the pair were possibly working together, to which Diddy denied, instead sharing that the two became friends in a strange way.
I mean, I think that we've become friends in a strange way, you know?
Like Robin Big.
No real elaboration on that statement. Diddy just kind of continues on, saying that Bieber is like a little brother to a lot of people in the music industry. He would call up Diddy and presumably others in the industry for advice when needed, and then his next statements just start feeling a little bit icky with everything the public now knows about him. Diddy starts talking about how himself and others in the strong family that is the record industry want to keep their arms around Justin and protect him because he is such a nice person.
And he's somebody that, you know, we definitely have our arms around and we want to protect him.
Back in 2011, when this interview came out, these statements raised no red flags as far as the public knew. Diddy was a great guy, a big help to a rising star, and a music icon. In fact, people clapped for him in the interview because, well, these are nice things to say about a 16-year-old Bieber. However, in 2024, with everything we now know about Combs and his behind-the-scenes lifestyle, his comments are way more off-putting and uncomfortable. Justin appears to be pretty at ease during the interview, joking around with Combs and Kimmel. When Kimmel plays off the little brother comments by suggesting Combs buy Bieber a car like he did his actual son, Bieber is quick to play along, saying, "He got me a Lamborghini, I haven't gotten it yet though." This is somehow the moment that shifted the conversation into questionable territory. Kimmel asks when the car is coming, to which Diddy responds that Bieber had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and this is where it gets weird in 2024, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television. Everything ain't for everybody. This is met with lots of laughter from the audience because who would have ever thought that anything shady could be going on behind the scenes with this guy? This entire conversation and interaction is likely referring to the 48 hours Diddy and Justin had spent together around this time. That's right, a young Justin Bieber was left in Combs' care for a full 48 hours. Now, how did that even happen? Well, there is an explanation out there. Nowadays, musicians' YouTubes are more for uploading music videos or some behind the scenes content, but 15 years ago, vlogs were super common and uploaded pretty frequently by big stars, including Bieber. He did in fact shoot a quick 2-minute video with Diddy, and it is in fact still up on Justin Bieber's YouTube channel today. So let's get into it. The video starts out with Diddy and Bieber looking at a luxury car, which is, you guessed it, a Lamborghini, just like they were talking about in the Kimmel interview. In the vlog, Diddy is shown telling Justin that when he turns 16 to come back down to use the car, even saying the keys would be his. And that makes some of those Kimmel comments make a lot more sense. But how did Bieber even end up in a position to be hanging out with Diddy anyways? The caption of the vlog explains that, saying that Justin had produced a song for Combs that he wanted to show him, and the Beliebers got his attention and made it happen. As the mini vlog continues, Combs and Bieber start discussing what they're gonna do. I mean, Combs is almost 40 and Bieber hasn't hit 16 yet, so really, what are they gonna do? Combs' answer to that question is, where are we hanging out and what we doing we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. It's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
And I think collectively we're all hoping it was paintball and music producing, but still, that is a very concerning statement from Combs. Combs continues on sharing that he had custody of Bieber for the 48 hours he was with him, and then shared how he had legal guardianship of Usher when he produced his first album. The short video finishes with Diddy promising that him and the young star were going to go full crazy. Bieber suggested they start the 48 hours by going to get some girls, to which Diddy responded, "Man after my heart."
He's with me, so and we gonna go buck full crazy.
Going crazy.
All in all, this video could not have aged worse. It's surprising that the video is even still up on Justin's channel, and even more surprising, the comment section is still active. Many users are commenting their concerns over the contents of the conversation. One user bringing up the fact that despite this video being up almost 14 years, no one's questioned it till now. We don't know exactly what happened during those 48 hours, however, something weird must have went down because it seems Justin stopped contacting Combs afterward. Diddy visited Bieber in studio a little while after the 48 hours, and Justin looked noticeably less at ease than he had in that first vlog together. Diddy also seemed to be getting on Justin's case for not contacting him or staying in touch as much, which is an odd thing to be requesting from someone almost 24 years your junior. Diddy is still getting on the young star's case, suggesting that because he's a big deal now, selling out arenas and everything, that's why he stopped calling and that's why they stopped hanging out.
Selling out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Comments the baby singer has made as he gets older have also raised some red flags about what he has gone through in the industry. Comments about how he wants to protect younger artists and getting emotional in interviews.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn. And
it's no secret that Justin has had a rough go in the music industry and has publicly coped with his trauma in unglamorous ways. As more and more information comes out about those he was surrounded with at the time, people are creating more and more theories that make his outbursts make sense. However, it seems Bieber is looking to put all the harder events of his upbringing behind him. An insider close to the singer has shared that amongst all this, he just wants to focus on being a great dad and husband. Bieber welcomed his first child with Hailey Bieber in August after announcing the pregnancy back in May. His fans and the general public do wish for the best for the singer. The same cannot be said though for Sean Diddy Combs, of course, and as the charges and evidence continue to pile up against him, he loses public favor with every passing day. Recently, it's come out that one of his youngest victims wasn't even Justin's age when he first met Combs. As it stands, Combs is facing a minimum of 15 years and a max of a life sentence. Combs has continued to deny that he ever harmed anyone.
What's one misconception about you?
There are no misconceptions about me.
Does Ashton Kutcher have anything to do with Diddy's crime ring? Maybe, as it appears that the pair have been friends for decades and have been seen out and about together, with Ashton attending Diddy's infamous parties. Now, these parties are in which the police believe crimes were happening, but if Ashton was a part of this, was he forced to participate by Diddy? I mean, Diddy has made threats to him in the past. Now, Diddy and Ashton met in the early 2000s as they both did work for MTV. Ashton was on the show Punk'd, which was a reality show where he would secretly prank celebrities and catch their reactions on camera. Diddy, though, was not a fan of this. Ashton and the crew were throwing out names of celebrities who they thought would be good to prank, and Diddy's name came up. But somehow, Diddy was made aware of this and confronted Ashton, telling him not to prank him. Later, in a joint interview in 2018 with James Corden, Diddy and Ashton spoke about what happened. Diddy said, "I gave Ashton a call one day and said, I heard you're going to punk me and I just don't think that's a good idea. If you do that, that will not end well for you, but I think we should work out a deal." Then their friendship bloomed. I'm not sure though, with Diddy starting off with a threat like that, I don't think he'd want to be friends. Also, what kind of deal was Diddy talking about? With everything we know now about the rapper, that is just suspicious. Now, later in the conversation, Corden asks what happens on the other side of that velvet rope, what's going on inside that party. Diddy then laughs and said, "This was before social media, so things were a little bit more private. It was a gorgeous time to grow up." And yeah, it was good for him, because no one was able to document his crimes and post them everywhere or expose and cancel him for all of the horrible things that he did. Later on in the interview, he named his 30th birthday party as his best party, saying that Beyonce and Donald Trump were in attendance. He then added that he was no longer in contact with the then president. "I just tried to lead by example," he said. "It's a wake-up call to take accountability for the future of America and the future of the world." Corden then said, "I don't want to speak out of turn, but are we looking at a Diddy Kutcher 2020 ticket here?" Diddy laughed at the idea, saying, "I don't think it would be in the country's best interest to have me in charge," and yeah, it wouldn't be. And with Ashton's ties to Diddy, he wouldn't be good in charge either. Now, this isn't the only interview that's raised some eyebrows about the pair. In 2019, Ashton was a guest on the YouTube show Hot Ones, where he was asked about his friendship with Diddy. The host asked Ashton what his favorite Diddy party moment was, and Ashton laughed and said, "I've got a lot I can't tell." He sat thinking and said, "Can't tell that one either. Diddy party stories, man, that was some weird memory lane thing." Now, it is very strange that he dodged this question, and what was so bad about the memories that did pop up in his mind? Did he know that bad things were happening at Diddy's parties, and was he a part of the problem? People who have watched back this interview are shocked and have become even more suspicious of Ashton. Now, if you somehow didn't know, Diddy was arrested in September for running a crime ring. He's been denied bail multiple times as he's a flight risk, but he's been in trouble with the law before his arrest. He had at least 4 lawsuits filed against him, like from his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura or music producer Rodney Jones. Then in March, 2 of Diddy's homes were raided, and since he's been arrested, more and more cases have been brought against him. His trial is set for May 2025, but that might change depending on how many more people come forward about the star. It's been said from sources that Ashton is actually scared of what Diddy could say and that he might try to drag the actor down. An insider source revealed to Daily Mail that Ashton absolutely regrets his friendship with Diddy considering what has happened. He feels lied to, betrayed, taken for granted, and manipulated. They continue by saying everyone who is close to Diddy fears the possibility of Diddy making up false allegations to clear his own name. Although Kutcher is frightened by the prospect of being involved in the case, he is also prepared to completely cooperate with the authorities because he has nothing to hide. But I don't know. I feel like a non-guilty person isn't worried about being framed for being taken down for something that's complete lies. I think Ashton is definitely hiding something and is more involved than we think, and we'll just have to see how this all plays out. But on the other hand, last week a source told TMZ that Ashton has nothing to worry about. A source alleged to the media outlet, "This narrative has got to stop. Ashton has nothing to do with this, zero involvement, zero knowledge of Combs' activities." The source added, "Ashton, like everyone else in Hollywood, attended a Diddy party 20 years ago." So maybe this will finally put an end to all the Ashton speculation. As we all know though, Ashton does not have the best track record when it comes to choosing friends. Like he and his wife Mila Kunis' longtime friend and co-star Danny Matterson. The 3 of them acted together on the show That 70s Show, and on June 17, 2020, Danny was charged with 3 crimes, and on January 21, 2021, he pleaded not guilty. Later though, he was found guilty, and for his sentencing, Ashton and Mila submitted character letters to the judge to hopefully reduce his sentencing. These letters were then leaked to the public, and it made a lot of people angry that they were defending him. Ashton wrote that Danny was an excellent role model and was a dedicated and loyal husband. "I hope that my testament to his character is taken into consideration in sentencing. I do not believe he is an ongoing harm to society, and having his daughter raised without a father would be an injustice in and of itself. As a friend, Danny has been nothing but a positive influence on me," Ashton wrote. "Over a 25-year relationship, I don't ever recall him lying to me. He taught me about being direct and confronting issues in life and relationships head on, resolving them and moving forward." Now, this being leaked then prompted the couple to apologize online. In the video, Ashton said he and his wife wrote the letters after Danny's family asked them to characterize the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing. Though the pair acknowledged that they were aware of the pain their letters had caused. They were intended for the judge to read, agreed, Ashton said, and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that, and we're sorry if that has taken place. And let me just say, a lot of people actually didn't forgive them. The backlash was so bad that Ashton actually stepped down as chairman for the company Thorn. His decision to step down was rooted in the recognition of recent events, the organization said in a statement. Ashton went on to say, "After my wife and I spent several days of listening, personal reflection, learning, and conversations with survivors and the employees and the leadership at Thorn, I have determined the responsible thing for me to do is to resign as chairman of the board, effective immediately," Ashton said in a letter. It seems like with everything that's happened with Danny and Diddy, Ashton doesn't surround himself with the best people. So what does that make him? Is he really as good as he claims he is? All I gotta say is I never expected to witness the downfall of Ashton Kutcher. Now, when it comes to the Diddy case, we'll just have to wait and see what happens and how involved Ashton really is.
Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher have become a major part of the media storm this week after their character letters to Danny Masterson were leaked to the public. Danny is on trial for the physical mistreatment of several women, and he had been in custody since May, but he was recently sentenced to 30 years in prison. Even after the slew of evidence and testimonies, Danny and his team have still publicly maintained his innocence. Well, Ashton and Mila were also under that impression when they wrote character letters to the judge overseeing his case, in which they described Danny as a decent man who was generous and kind. Mila chimed in and praised Danny, calling him an outstanding role model and a friend. The letters that were intended solely for the eyes of the judge were leaked into the press. They wrote these letters well after the controversy came to light, so not only were they aware of Danny's possible sentencing, but they still decided to back him up, hence the apology video. Over the weekend, the couple released a video apologizing for the statements they made in their letters that was just the fakest thing that you have ever seen in your life. Now, I'm gonna break it down. It's tea time. First and foremost, Mila is an actress. Between herself and Ashton, it's pretty clear who's the busiest bee in the house. It's Mila. It's also obvious from the way Mila speaks that during the entire apology, it's just all lies. The whole thing is filled with the same old tropes as every other apology video ever put into the world. They understand the pain they've caused, they're sorry for their actions, blah blah blah. But you gotta hand it to these guys, they actually sound like they have their lines down pat. In case it isn't obvious, which come on, it is. They have clearly rehearsed this speech and they've got it down to under a minute. I'm not sure if they wrote it themselves though, because the vocabulary that they use is very advanced. I'm sorry if I don't believe that Jesse from Dude Where's My Car wrote the sentence, "full consideration relative to the sentencing." They actually might not be completely off script, however, because periodically throughout the video you can see them looking off of camera almost like they're reading cue cards on SNL. The video just proved that they had little to no remorse for their actions, believing that they were just trying to help a friend in need. At one point they say they had no intention for the letters that they had written to be seen by anyone other than the judge. So their apology was more of a, oh man, I'm sorry we got caught kind of thing. They're not actually sorry for anything they've said or done, they're just sorry that someone leaked their letters to the press. Like, listen, either apologize for something or don't, because when you try to make the whole justified apology thing, it's just plain rude. Supporting a man who is being accused by several women of something that is truly disturbing is a major red flag in our eyes. Mila looks so done the entire time, and she is overacting with each and every word she says. Meanwhile, Ashton seems just a little bit more calm, cool, and collected, but he really shouldn't be. Supporting Danny, especially when it comes to this situation, makes him look like a massive hypocrite. In case you were unaware, Ashton's been working with a company called Thorn since 2012. The company that he co-founded with Demi Moore that is designed to monitor the activity of underage folks online and prevent any criminal situations from taking place. The company has grown since, and it still works to that goal to this day. Which, like, hey, that is awesome, keep people safe online, way to go. But how are you going to create an entire company dedicated to preventing the exact thing that your buddy was arrested for? Ashton has been called out by many fans and victims of violence for his hypocritical actions. There is no word on how his company is handling the situation, but so far it's not looking like they have any reason to fire him just yet. Despite his buddy Danny being charged and sentenced to 30 years, he still seems to be holding back in his apology video. The video is, after all, just like 1 minute long, so we can only imagine how much stuff that this man actually had to say. His letter was very revealing. As I'll get into in a moment, Ashton and Mila have been well aware of Danny's controversy for quite some time, yet when asked to write character witness statements, they leaped at the opportunity to defend him. Both Ashton and Mila have always presented themselves as, calm, cool, and collected people. But between Ashton's humanitarian work and Mila's career in comedy, they seemed like a wholesome Hollywood couple born from controversy. Yeah, Ashton was still married when he started seeing Mila, allegedly. But that's not my point. What we've come to learn in the last few weeks is that this couple may actually be super toxic, rude, and dismissive behind the scenes. There have been reports here and there, but they all run along the same pattern of they're terrible guests and they're always annoyed by everything. In fact, in a recent interview, past talk host Sharon Osbourne shared her encounter with Ashton a few years ago. While doing an interview for E!, she told the outlet that the rudest celebrity she had ever met was the guy who married the actress from That 70s Show. When the host confirmed that she meant Ashton Kutcher, she called him a, quote, rude little boy. The hosts were shocked as she went on to call him a dastardly little thing. Like, she's very focused on the little thing. She claimed that Ashton had been a guest when she was still working on The Talk. He had a very bad attitude about everything. She said he was mad from the start and asked Sharon to list her credentials, trying to play the whole I'm more established than you are, so why am I here type thing. Sharon, of course, is the Princess of Darkness, being married to rock legend Ozzy Osbourne, so she put Ashton in his place, which he did not like. It would be no surprise to learn that Ashton is a mean man off camera. Think about some of the segments on his prank show Punk'd. We just towed your car away and now you have to take the bus. Yes, you just got punked. That's a real thing that happened to somebody on camera. Ashton is not the only bad apple in this relationship. Mila is also known for being a pretty rude individual, especially when it comes to interviews. As with many celebrities, she likes to stay busy, but busy for her is acting. It's not talking about real stuff. She is known for being easily annoyed by very simple questions. In fact, when asked how she was feeling in one interview, she responded with, I don't talk about that for publication. Okay, a simple I'm good would have been okay, but whatever. Several interviewers found her to be dismissive, and she very clearly did not want to be there. Same with this apology video, Mila just looks annoyed. She's visibly confused as to why she has to make this video in the first place. Who was it benefiting? Why was it important? Well, lots of people, and for several reasons. They apologize for a lot of things in this video, but as I previously touched on, they don't actually say Danny is a bad guy and we know that now. They apologize for the pain that the words that they've said have caused, claiming the goal was never to denounce the testimonies given in court. For these guys, it was just a letter about their buddy from That 70s Show. But let's talk about That 70s Show for a moment, because it was not all peaches and cream behind the scenes either. That 70s Show was a popular sitcom that helped launch several careers, including Mila, Ashton, and Danny. Danny was of course on this show, but it turns out that the allegations against him dated back to 2004, where they were actually reported, like in 2004. Danny was still on the show when an investigation was taking place. 4 women reported that he had mistreated them physically, prompting local law enforcement to halt production on the show and bring Danny in for questioning. The investigation brought little to no actual evidence to the table, so Danny was let go, and the entire thing was just kind of forgotten about. But that means that Ashton and Mila literally watched this dude go in for questioning and still called him a role model in their character witness letters. It makes no sense. Their jobs were literally stopped while this man was under investigation. And when the charges come up again over 15 years later, they still stick to his side. That 70s Show was chock full of issues behind the scenes, because not only was Danny being investigated, but it turned out that Mila lied about her age just to get a role on the show. But she was already so deep into the run that they just didn't want to write her character out. Just imagine if things worked out differently. That 70s Show would have just been 2 buddies in a basement hanging out. Just basically the premise of Dude, Where's My Car? Their letter letter may not have been intended to call the testimonies of the victims into question or whatever, but that's what happened. Plus, yeah, it's definitely what you were trying to do. The media has been covering the situation for a long time. Danny was brought into custody in May, but the allegations were actually brought up as far back as 2017. Between 2017 and now, Ashton and Mila have still decided that this man is a good dude and a role model. I still can't get past that statement. Role model for what, not doing the right thing maybe? Yeah. The apology only makes the entire situation that much worse. The overacting that takes place combined with the obviously fake apology makes them look even worse than they already are. It was just them telling us how sorry they were that things turned out this way. In an alternate universe, the letters made their way to the judge untouched, leaving Ashton and Mila to live in blissful ignorance. Now, there are so many reasons why this apology is meaningless and why it's so obviously a fake move made for like press coverage or something, from the bad acting to the cue cards to the "I'm sorry we got caught" angle. Number 10. James Charles. James was a popular makeup YouTuber before allegations were made against him in 2021, with several young men claiming that James had communicated with them inappropriately. The first accusations came from a fan who claims that James sent them explicit messages and photos when they were just 16. James claimed that the fan misled him into believing that he was an adult and blocked them as soon as he discovered their actual age. However, that one fan inspired several fans to come forward with similar stories. James later posted a now deleted video on YouTube called "Holding Myself Accountable," during which he apologized for his desperate behavior and admitted to messaging 2 of the men. 2 out of like 20 people, so just saying, 2 is still too many. After the news went viral, his YouTube channel was demonetized, he lost all of his subscribers, stopped hosting the mini-series Instant Influencer, and severed ties with makeup brand Morph, which he had basically become the spokesperson for. James took a break from producing content for about 5 minutes before posting a video called an open conversation that summer, not even a full year. He just waited until another season popped up. Number 9. Sebastian Bales. Sebastian Bales was a very popular YouTube content creator and TikTok man, but their videos aimed at a younger audience went from lighthearted to dark and disturbing. Sebastian, along with his partner in crime Lauren Godwin, posted several videos together over the years, usually being a vlog, but sometimes Sebastian liked to pull little pranks on Lauren. His career was over thanks to 2 so-called pranks that he posted in 2019. The first saw Sebastian pretending to leave Lauren for a life in the army, wearing one of the most store-bought looking uniforms you have ever seen in your life. Now, while much lighter than the next video I'm going to talk about, the content received major backlash from fans as many had parents or siblings in the military and they didn't appreciate Sebastian treating that position as a joke. But it was his next video that really put the icing on that bad guy cake. Seb and Lauren thought it would be really funny to fake one of the worst things that you could do to a person, pressuring your partner into physical lovemaking without their consent. The video is disturbing and I'm not going to get deep into it, but you can imagine just how disgusted the internet was with this man, who looks like an orange creamsicle with the top bitten off of it. He made an apology video and deleted this video by moving it to private so it still exists, but the internet collectively cancelled his channel. Number 8. I Show Speed. Darren Watkins, better known by his YouTube handle I Show Speed, made headlines last week after he exposed his little dinghy on a live stream. The rapper and media influencer had just returned from a trip to Japan, and fans tuned in excitement to see him return to their gaming world, and watched as he played around Five Nights at Freddy's. When he was startled by a character, he stood up to yell, only for his pants to just fall right down. He sat down and immediately closed the live stream. His account, which had millions of subscribers, was frozen, and it underwent a review from the powers that be. Following the slew of negative comments that he received online, he went on an anger-filled rant in another stream, telling his fans to stop talking and shouting a lot of F words that I'm not allowed to say online. You know, the ones that rhyme with maggot and bucker. Twitter has since lit up with comments from people asking why they're being blamed for him not knowing how pants work. The most recent news is that his channel will not be banned despite his blatant violation of their guidelines, but considering the amount of hate that this dude is currently receiving online, I cannot imagine his channel will be very active for very long. Number 7. Ravana. Vegan blogging is a big business on YouTube. Numerous creators have been able to make a huge living off of plant-based diets. Many actually make their subscribers subscribers pay a little bit of a fee to gain insight into recipes and routines not normally shared in their videos. One of these women, Ravana, had a massive following and would make her subscribers pay $70 to gain access to their diet plan. She had a massive empire, but it was all built on lies, and in 2019 she decided to order a fish at a restaurant and was outed by a fellow influencer. Ravana was in Bali at the time, thinking that she was just out for a good time with her fellow content creator Paula Galindo, who started live streaming at the dinner table. Yeah, the internet quickly filled her channel with negative comments and dubbed her Fish Vana, and just like that, her empire was gone. Number 6, Colleen Ballinger. Colleen was best known for her character Miranda Sings on YouTube, who became so popular that she received her own Netflix series. However, it turns out that she's a creepy creepo who really needs to have her phone taken away by an adult. She was basically messaging her fans to deliver so-called advice when she was actually trying to manipulate them into being her little minions. There was a massive amount of proof in the pudding. Fans had screenshots of conversations, with one person claiming that she sent them lingerie as a joke. Somebody call Netflix, we've got a new special right here. Following instant backlash from the world, Colleen decided to post an apology online, and she did apologize while playing a ukulele. After this woman is shown to be weird to kids, she thought it was appropriate to go online and sing a little ditty about it. In response to the cringiest apology of all time, her fans collectively tapped out and unsubscribed from her channel. Colleen now only exists in the suppressed memories of her young fans. Number 5, Logan Paul. Logan Paul, a man now known as a WWE superstar, was once a famous YouTuber. With millions of subscribers, his channel's popularity quickly skyrocketed in the early 2010s, until one day Logan and his friends decided to go to a famous forest in Japan to film a camping challenge. A forest that is unfortunately famous for the tragedies that take place there. In fact, many lives have ended in that forest, and most were self-inflicted. While venturing into the forest, Logan and his crew spot a recently deceased individual just hanging from a tree, and instead of alerting the authorities and cutting the cameras, he acted like it was the wildest thing he had ever seen in his life, all while wearing a hat that looked like one of the little green guys from Toy Story. He actually shouted at the body asking if it was okay or if they were just fooling with them. They stood there filming for like 30 minutes before finally leaving the forest, but the video was not demonetized and it received massive backlash. At the beginning and end of the clip, he urges any viewer suffering from mental health issues to seek help, blatantly trying to exploit the situation. Many viewers felt traumatized by the video and began drowning his channel with negative comments. If you want proof that this guy is a 12-year-old mentally speaking, just watch his apology video. He released an apology where he claimed to face a monsoon of negativity and that he doesn't do it for views, he just gets them, and he actually spent a good chunk of that video just sadly telling people how popular he was. Needless to say, nobody cared for that apology and his YouTube career was in the dumps. But the WWE loves problematic people, so he was brought into the ring with open arms. Number 4, Sam Pepper. Prank channels used to be massive on YouTube, but like reality TV star turned YouTuber Sam Pepper, they're old news. Pepper was once a star, gaining millions of views for his pranks. His videos often pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable, but in 2014 he finally crossed a line. He uploaded a video called Fake Hand Bum Pinch Prank, in which he literally just touched unsuspecting women in an inappropriate fashion. The backlash was swift and heated. The YouTuber claimed that the prank was part of a large social experiment meant to highlight the difference between violence towards men and violence towards women, but nobody bought that for a second. In fact, a fellow YouTuber, Tyler Oakley, tweeted, "If you're a horrible person, just claim it was a social experiment. Then it's everyone else's problem if they're offended." Pepper went on to claim that the video was staged, but it was far too late. His career was in tatters. That is a fun word. Multiple women came forward claiming they'd been subjected to unwanted physical advances from Pepper off camera. In an ill-advised attempt to bounce back, he uploaded a video in which he pranked Vine star Sam Golback by pretending to abduct him and his friend. And in that video, Pepper staged an execution, leaving Golback in clear distress. It backfired spectacularly. He was branded a disgrace to the YouTube community by Cole Ledford, and unsurprisingly, Pepper is now YouTube history. Number 3, Anthony Fantano. Fantano started out as a music reviewer in 2007, and his channel garnered fame after posting earnest covers of songs by Man and the Mountain Goats, which is just a weird name and I can't believe they exist. But as his channel garnered more and more popularity, his ideas on the world became more and more ridiculous. While he gained his fame on the channel Needle Drop, it was the spin-off channel That Is the Plan that landed him in hot water. He posted dense videos taking aim at feminism, the Black Lives Matter movement, and of course social justice warriors. After several attempts to contact his channel by media outlets, Fantano canceled his channel and claimed that it was due to YouTube's strict rules not letting him monetize his work. Suspiciously though, he had just released a video so chock full of garbage that there was no way he was gonna get away with it. Now, whether that's true or not, his main channel was still very active and he received massive backlash online. Hey man, you can't call people out if you don't expect them to clap back. Number 2, Nicole Arbor. NBA cheerleader turned YouTube comedian Nicole Arbor has been pushing the boundaries of bad taste for a very long time. In 2015, the internet pushed back. The Canadian content creator posted a video called Dear Fat People, which appeared to mock overweight folks for views. She claimed that fat shaming was not real and that it was an issue created by overweight people. Angry responses followed on YouTube in the and just in the media overall, with several women coming forward to call her claims rude, misguided, and disgusting. Numerous outlets reported that Arbor was fired from her role as a choreographer on the anti-bullying dance film Don't Talk to Irene as a result of her harmful video, though she refuted these claims at the time and continues to deny them to this day. Whether she was fired from that film or not, one thing is for sure, Dear Fat People took any chances that she had of making her comedy a mainstream and just tossed it in the trash. And at number 1, Trisha Paytas. She's been described as a jack-of-all-trades celebrity by The Telegraph. But Trisha Paytas was best known for her YouTube channel. She didn't hold back in her videos, and that's the main reason she was able to amass millions of subscribers over the years. She shed a chunk of those subscribers, however, in early 2019 when she got drawn into a drama with Ethan Klein of H3H3 Productions. According to Yahoo! It all started when Klein criticized Paytas for looking unrecognizable in her Instagram photos, shining a spotlight on the culture of over-editing. Paytas went off on Klein in a series of tweets calling him a disgusting piece of S, and then proceeding to make a retaliation video that backfired on her massively as she lost 55,000 subscribers as a result. That wasn't the video that killed her career though. In October 2019, Paytas appeared to hammer the final nail into her own coffin when she released a video titled I Am Trans, Male to Female. In it, she makes a series of contradictory and ill-informed claims telling viewers that she identifies as a gay man but also is 1000% her natural born identity. I don't know. The backlash was swift, with numerous people accusing her of jumping all over trans issues for views. She 100% did. She apologized and claims that there was no ill will behind the videos, but Paytas had simply gone too far this time and her career was rightfully over. Number 10, Mike Tyson. So I had trouble landing on just one interview to mention when it comes to this man. He is someone who seems to just bounce back after every single heinous thing he's done. So we're gonna run through a few of them. The first time Mike really hurt his career was in the 80s, and it wasn't even something he said. He was doing an interview with his then girlfriend Robin Gibbs. When the topic of Mike's behavior came up, she said herself that Mike had an extremely volatile temper. Recent reports had also surfaced of Mike getting loud and physical with Robin, something she seemingly confirmed, while Mike just stared at the interviewer the entire time, giving him an evil look. Now that was one of the first little notches on his belt. That wasn't really a meltdown. As the years went by, more and more controversies came to light, and during a press tour for his latest bout in the early 2000s, he lashed out at a fan in the crowd, hurling a slew of insults and calling them the British word for cancer sticks. It starts with an F and it rhymes with maggot. The clip became viral overnight and placed his career in jeopardy, but he finally drove that nail into the coffin on CP24's Breakfast Television in 2014. After somehow maintaining enough relevance to get a one-man show, Mike was sitting down with host Nathan Downer to promote when the interview took a hard left and went from "so what's the show about" to "so should you even be allowed on stage, you monster?" That's not what he actually said, but apparently that's what Mike Tyson heard, because he stopped answering questions and would instead hurl sarcastic insults. The F word is once again his favorite and just throws it at him. I don't know if you've noticed, but Mike hasn't been on the news much since then, and probably for a good reason. Number 9, Paula Abdul. Q13 Fox News. In 2012, famous judge and British bad boy Simon Cowell decided to fire his fellow X Factor judge after she went on Fox News and made herself sound like a little bit of a fool. During an interview with Q13, things started out a little rocky thanks to some audio issues causing Paula to hear a station in Texas instead of their own. When they eventually got everything up and running, Paula was just as confusing as she was with the original issues. The interviewers were trying to ask her about her visit to Seattle, where Simon claims that the worst worst singers that he has ever encountered dwell. Instead of defending the city, Paula doubled down and agreed with Simon. It's not the statement though that landed her in the hot seat, it was actually just the way that she was speaking. Paula had always been a little bit animated in her life, using arms a lot when speaking to people, but she was particularly slurry and seemed like she was under the influence of something. This was just one of several interviews where Paula is noticeably woozy. Simon Cowell has actually claimed the only reason she was invited to host on the X Factor in the first place was to see if she would bring in the American Idol viewers, and when that didn't pan out, he realized the right move to make was to let her go because she's not great on television. Of course, Paula was mad about this and confronted Simon several times, only making that meltdown bigger and bigger. Number 8, Robert Downey Jr. Being a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe means a ton of interviews. Now, Robert had the fortune of playing Iron Man for 10 years, being featured in 11 movies. While doing press for his second round with the Avengers in 2015, he had the misfortune of speaking with a legendarily terrible interviewer, Krishnan Guru Murphy, on Channel 4. Now, I've talked about this guy in other videos for making Quentin Tarantino walk out of an interview, and he is making a return for something pretty similar. The interview is uncomfortable from the very beginning. Krishnan stumbles through his questions as quickly as he can, with Robert doing his best just to keep things smooth. Instead of asking questions about the movie though, Krishnan decided to probe Robert about his life in prison and with substance control issues. Now, at first, he's okay and answers the questions, but then Krishnan brings up his dad and asks if he feels that he escaped his dark past. Robert is visibly anxious and begins breathing pretty heavy to keep himself calm. He asks what they were doing there, and then the team said goodbye. He stood up and walked out of the room, and he said that Krishnan seemed nice, but things were getting just a little bit too Diane Sawyer for his taste. This was one of the most uncomfortable interview moments in Robert's career, and it's not even close to the worst one for Krishnan. Number 7, Sofia Vergara. Fans of the show Modern Family will recognize Sofia as Gloria, aka Manny's mom, who is just absolutely hilarious and heartwarming at the same time, even outside of Modern Family. Now, while speaking with Ellen in 2017 about her career and some new projects coming up, Ellen decided to play a game called English Word of the Day. Claiming to be learning Spanish with one word a day, she wished to teach Sofia one as well. Before the segment, Sofia is roasting Ellen for her dislike of cotton, but when Ellen asks if she wants to learn the English word with her, Sofia scoffs and is visibly annoyed, claiming that she speaks English very well. Ellen gives her the word flabbergasted and asks her to define what it means. Not only does she pronounce it correctly the first time, but she knew exactly what it meant. Ellen follows it up with discombobulated, which left Sofia confused and thinking pretty hard. Now, she butchered the word, and while she seemed to be taking things in stride, it turns out Sofia was so frustrated with participating in this game, as she is a bit self-conscious when it comes to her accent. A lot of people consider the segment to be a little bit racist and more cringe-inducing than fun. I've seen the clip. That's accurate. Number 6, Joaquin Phoenix. We understand a dedication to your craft, and Joaquin Phoenix is just a prime example. This dude's acting career has been going steady since he first appeared in the 1989 comedy Parenthood when he was in his teens. Now, while he is seen as one of the greatest actors in recent history, his reputation on set was a little tarnished thanks to a freak out while filming the 2018 solo flick Joker. He appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live to promote the shoot when Jimmy plays a behind-the-scenes clip of Joaquin getting loud and angry at a man named Larry, and the constant whispering behind the cameras before dropping a few F-bombs and storming off this set. When the cameras came back to the studio, Joaquin was frozen in shock and clearly not expecting that clip to ever see the light of day. He is not having a good time. He explained that Larry was a cinematographer who teased Joaquin off set earlier in the day, calling him a diva and referring to him as Cher. In fact, if you're watching the clip and during the outbursts, you can actually hear him say, "You want to call me Cher? How is that an insult?" He then explained that there is a lot of pressure on set, especially in a closed space, like the apartment from the scene that they were filming. He apologized to the audience for having to see him behave like that, which, was met with applause. Because at the end of the day, he's a performer and no harm came from the outburst or the meltdown, and honestly, if Larry's cool with it, so are we. Number 5, Nicolas Cage. The most unhinged man in Hollywood history. One of the few people who somehow managed to star in billions of movies, but has barely seen or kept a cent of that money. During a press junket in 1990, Nick went on a talk show called Wogan to discuss his latest project, Wild at Heart. When the host Terry Wogan announced Nick Cage, he entered with karate kicks, a front flip, somersault. He threw wads of cash at the audience because, hey, he's Nick Cage, why not? And when he finally sat down, moments before the interview actually began, he asked if he could take his jacket off. He proceeds to take his jacket off and the shirt underneath of it, because if people thought Nick Cage was all together, they were proven wrong during this interview. Despite the content being relatively tamed, the entire time you can just see sweat glistening off of Nick's chest, because guess what? Wearing a leather jacket on your bare chest is beyond uncomfortable, especially when there are lights aimed at you. Now sure, it might look cool until you take it off and you just have a heat rash. Nick's always been unhinged, but this meltdown during this interview was truly unique. His behavior in the 90s was apparent and well documented thanks to him literally being in like 2 movies a year. Number 4, Christian Bale. Christian is a very versatile actor, physically and of course skill-wise. He's able to shrink and grow his physique seemingly at will. He's played everything from a skinny substance addict to Batman in 2008. Christian starred in the 3rd film of the Terminator franchise, Terminator Salvation, and while he was filming a scene, director of photography Shane Holbert apparently just moved into Christian's eyesight, and this caused Christian to snap out of character and into defense mode. The now infamous audio clip of Christian screaming at Shane to make matters worse, anyone trying to calm Christian down were met with an equally swift verbal lashing. While the cinematographer was just checking a light to make sure that it was in the right place, you know, like doing his job, Bale made it his mission to share his intense feelings with the entire crew. When the audio leaked, Bale apologized for his actions and told the world to praise the crew for their work. Now while the movie turned out okay visually speaking, the project as a whole is remembered as a terrible Terminator movie, and he gets pretty uncomfortable when he talks about it on stage. Number 3, Paris Hilton. Paris is the originator of the phrase famous for being famous, because this woman made headlines many times over the years for a little bit of everything. In 2011, Paris appeared on ABC to discuss her career, her personal life, and the recent situations she had been dealing with involving stalkers. During the interview, she revealed a few things about her life that had previously been speculated, like the fact that she used a higher-pitched baby voice on the show Simple Life, but had a much deeper and serious tone in real life. But the conversation eventually ventures into uncharted waters. The interviewer asked Paris if she felt that her former friend and protege, Kim Kardashian, had overshadowed her in the eyes of the media. Paris says nothing, looks to her publicist, and goes to stand up. They almost wrapped the interview entirely, but eventually things simmered down and they were able to clear up the air. However, the moment stuck with fans of Hilton immediately and begged the question, why is she so uncomfortable talking about this? And it's because it's true. Well, it turns out the world answered the question for her, because Kim Kardashian's show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, made it big, and Paris Hilton's show was cancelled after 1 season. So, there you go. Number 2, Tom Cruise. Matt Lauer is not just a terrible person who turned out to be a creepy creepo. He was once a popular talk show host in the early 2000s. During an interview with Tom Cruise in 2005, the topic of his scientific beliefs came up that quickly sent Tom into a rant about psychiatry, and somehow the topic got into Ritalin and pseudosciences. I don't know, Tom yelled at Matt about knowing more than him about psychiatry, like he had some inside information that he was secretly a therapist, who knows. The interview came at the height of Tom's pretty public descent into chaotic badness, becoming very famous for his outlandish beliefs and his wish to push them onto other people. The highlight of the interview came when Cruise was asked about his previous criticisms of Brooke Shields taking anti-sad time pills, to which he responded by calling her a glib. I looked up the definition of that word, and it means fluent and voluble, but insincere and shallow. What? This was only one of the several interviews from 2005 that I wanted to discuss today, especially with Tom Cruise. Good lord, that was a rough year for him. When he was with Katie Holmes, he was a nutcase. Just ask Oprah. I mean, ever since the mid-2000s, his career has mainly been Mission Impossible, with only a few small roles to fill the gaps here and there, not the Hollywood superstar that he was aiming to be. And at number 1, my favorite entry, Bobcat Goldthwait. Allow me to start the entry by doing an impression of Bobcat. Thank you. Bobcat may not be much of an actor these days, but in the 80s and 90s, this man was dominating the film and comedy scene. His zany brand of over-the-top, high-energy performance was so well received by any and all who saw him. I can still hear his voice echoing in my head whenever I think of Police Academy. In 1994, comedian Arsenio Hall invited his longtime buddy Bobcat onto his talk show, which unfortunately was in its final days on the air. When he heard of the cancellation, Bobcat decided to send a message to the big brains that made the decision, because he spray painted the word Paramount on the wall behind him, throws furniture around, breaks TV screens, all the while Arsenio is just sitting back and laughing. When they returned from commercial, the set was in ruins, and despite that, Arsenio joked that he was like, the worst part is I have to pretend like I'm mad at him. Joke's on him, that wasn't the only talk show meltdown he partook in. A few years after this, Bobcat set a chair on fire on the Jay Leno show for no reason, just for fun. Like he was standing there just going, fire! He was fined over $3,000 and made to replace the chair. Oh, and in case you haven't noticed, he hasn't been asked to be on any talk shows recently.